All right, ladies and gentlemen, let the momentum continue. Let everything that we've been announcing keep you motivated. We are on to our next chat. As I said, this is going to be interesting as well because we are going to be talking about Cloud Connect, around which many of you would want to lend their ears, right? So, reinforcing cloud for business needs. Allow me to please you welcome Vaishali Kasture, the head enterprise business from AI, SPL, AWS, India, and South, who will be in conversation with our very own Anirban Kushal, the senior editor from ETH. Over to you two.
Thank you so much, Shika, for that wonderful introduction. Welcome, Vaishali, to the TechCon conference and to this wonderful session. So let's begin. In a world where technology will play a pivotal role in future operations and double down as the cog for differentiation for many companies, data has been taking center stage. How do you see the role of cloud service providers and in turn AWS in terms of data cleaning, maintaining, and generating insights, helping business drop their future strategies?
Thank you so much. That's an excellent question, and I'm going to jump straight to it. So, people say data is the new oil, but it is valuable. But if it is unrefined, it has no value. And as we've seen, particularly in the last couple of years, that the structure and volume of data is changing rapidly. There's an explosion in both structured and unstructured data. With IoT devices coming in, we are creating data increasingly on the edge. You have social media, voice, video, the imminent arrival of 5G, the number of use cases that we're going to have, which need high speed, low latency bandwidth, gaming, videos, education, healthcare, IoT. I mean, there's literally, a boom in an explosion in the amount of data that we are generating and will generate. And what's interesting is 90% of this data that has been generated in the world has been generated in the last 2 years only. So which is very natural that the cost of compute, storage, networking, retrieving the data in an optimal manner becomes extremely important for the organization. But what becomes even more important is becoming a data-driven organization and having the ability to analyze all this data, churn it around in real time becomes really important for a successful organization. And this is where, the cloud comes in. This is where AWS comes in. Cloud allows the organizations to access, store, retrieve data cheaper, faster, in a more agile manner. It allows you to spin up and down your compute instances. There are several options around data retrieval as well. You need instant access, you need intermittent access, or at some particular stage, AWS has a lot of offerings on S3, Glacier, Deep Archive, etc., based on the working backwards on the needs of the customer. I think the other part of it is converting data into insights. And, we spoke a little bit about this. How do you have the ability to use all of this data very quickly and convert it into insights? And this is where machine learning comes in. We have a really expansive stack, what we refer to as SageMaker machine learning, and then we have AI services as well. The beauty of this is that there is something in it for every developer, and our objective is to put machine learning in the hands of every individual, no matter if you're an advanced data scientist or you're really a beginner. Our SageMaker services allows you to use machine learning in any manner that you want. And finally, we have several programs that we have put in place to help our customers to go towards a data-driven organization around migrations, implementation. We have a world-class team of what we call professional services individuals, which is practically like your extended consulting team. We also work deeply with our partners in order to do this. And before I wrap up this question, I'll leave you with one quick example, which I believe is really exciting when I look at it. Our customer in India, Vistara, which is India's first airline to be born in the cloud. It has nearly all of its workloads on AWS, including mission critical ones. And once they were on AWS cloud, they realized that they can build new workloads in less than 6 hours. Their website gets 5.5 million hits a day, which is 133 hits per second. They used our data warehouse, which is Redshift, and they used S3, which is our storage and data lake, to enable them to do this transformation. And with this, they have data at their fingertips. They're able to conduct route profitability very quickly in very little time. And this was the key to help them to go global. Back to you.
Democratizing AI, sort of going backwards towards customers and then looking at customer, what the customer needs is what you said. But I would like to cue in the next question with the reference that you said that, data is the new oil, right? And in these trying times, financial jurisprudence have been really important. It seems to have become a necessity more than a virtue for most businesses. How can AWS help companies meet objectives without having to think twice before implementing solutions?
Yeah, thank you so much for that question. So, when you look at the beauty of the cloud, I think, initially people think that, oh, I'm moving to the cloud because my most important imperative is cost. And while that may be the case in, most conversations, that the imperative to move is almost always starts with cost. But what's important is, obviously AWS allows you to trade capital expenses for variable expenses, pay as you go, pay for what you consume, spin up and spin down servers, in thousands of servers within a couple of minutes. Cloud has been particularly useful for companies when you look at the pandemic situation, that you're not stuck with a fixed cost when your business is either decelerating, or if your business is accelerating, you have the ability to spin up your compute, storage, networking within minutes. It allows you to go global, literally launch a server anywhere in the world within minutes. So it's been particularly useful, I would say, in the times of the pandemic. But coming back to your point, how do we do this, right? So AWS is able to do this because we allow our customers, we build on our own economies of scale, right? We're constantly scaling up. We have been in existence for over 15 years now, and our economies of scale, we deploy the best hardware, the best software, the best networking devices. All of this allows us to operate at a scale which very few people can imagine. And when we operate at this scale, we are able to pass on our savings to our customers. And we do this not because we have to, but we do this because we can, because our economies of scale allow us to do this. And what's very interesting to note is that we have reduced our prices over 80 times in the last 15 years, and allowed companies to scale on top of us by not accelerating their costs. I mean, Dow Jones is an example which I love to quote, that they estimated that migrating all their data centers to the cloud has enabled them to save over $100 million in infrastructure costs. So like I said, organizations may start their journey with cost, but what's important is, the agility, the speed, the flexibility, the ability to go global is what really keeps the companies, working on the cloud. And more importantly, all this leads to innovation, experimentation at very minimal cost, and it allows them to focus on what is core to them and to their customers, and leave the undifferentiated heavy lifting to us.
Again, I want to start picking keywords from what you just said, right? And all the keywords that I can think of lead to this most abused and most used term today, which is digital transformation. And when we talk about digital transformation, the thought of digital overhaul comes to mind. So from a migration to implementation perspective, what advantage does AWS bring to the table?
Sure. So I think before I answer that question, I'm going to just talk for like a couple of seconds on the variety of customers that actually work with us today. So AWS has millions of active customers around the world, and across a variety of segments: startups, enterprises, public sector, and from every imaginable industry and vertical. Although I have many references, but I'm going to quote a couple of our most prominent Indian customers. And like I said, from variety from startups to enterprises. So you can just imagine customers like Swiggy, Dream11, OLX, Paytm, Delivery, Zerodha, Cred, PayU, Redbus, Freshworks, Dhruva, CleverTap, Postman. I can go on the startup side. Similarly, on the enterprise side as well, we have telco, media, IT companies, banking, financial services, insurance. An example of Airtel's Star, Axis, Indus, Kotak, RBL, Jubilant, Ashok Leyland, Mahindra Electric, Aditya Birla Group, all of them, building on AWS. On the one hand, we have startups which were born in the cloud. On the other hand, we have enterprises who are accelerating their adoption of the cloud. And all of this happens because, there are multiple reasons. But if I can, again, succinctly sort of summarize it, what is driving this need is increasingly customers, their own customers, partners, and employees all want to be on a digital journey with our customers. And which is why particularly in the last 12 to 18 months, we've seen an acceleration in the adoption of cloud so that they can deliver what they need to deliver in a manner to their own customers, their partners, and employees. And there are primarily four reasons that both enterprises and startups continue to build on AWS, and I'll just summarize them. The first is obviously we have the broadest and deepest cloud platform in the world. I mean, that's sort of the first primary reason. Second is we deliver innovation at the fastest clip to our customers. We are constantly launching new services and features. We have over 2,000 significant features and services that was released in 2019. The third is we have largest community of customers and partners around the world. And the fourth is that we are the most mature cloud platform. We are over 15 years old. And like compression algorithm for experience. And with maturity comes, comes great responsibility as well. And we are very focused particularly on security and compliance. We have the most active certifications among all cloud providers, things like ISO 27001, ISO 27017 for cloud security, 27018 for privacy. We have the PCI, SOC, SOC 1, 2, and 3. We are HIPAA compliant. So I think we are constantly working with our customers, with organizations around the world to ensure that there are any industry-specific certifications and accreditations. We make sure that we work with our customers, work backwards from their needs, and ensure we get that done.
I could take two references from, again, what you just said. First of all, the very clever reference of the friendly neighborhood Spider-Man. and also, you couldn't help but roll your tongue when you spoke about the number of customers that you had in the country. And it's no secret that probably India is the next emerging market when it comes to tech. And experts believe that half of the next billion users will probably come from India. Yes. What are some of the India-specific investments and activities or pieces of training that AWS is undertaking to make it more friendly and efficient for its existing and new customers in India?
Absolutely. The whole next, when you look at the demographic dividend of India, right? 1.3, 1.4 billion people, 160 million internet users. We're adding 50 million users every year to that internet base, which is twice the size of the continent of Australia. So, our commitment, comes in, if I were to sort of summarize, we, like our CEO, Andy Jassy says that, we're not here in India for a year or two, we are here for the long term, and we will be here, for a very long time to come. So I'd say our investments and the way we look at India, essentially, I'll summarize that in 4 parts. The first is our commitment to infrastructure. We launched our first region in 2016 in Mumbai. It had 2 availability zones. In 2019, we added the 3rd availability zone. We continue to make investments on this side. We have 21 edge locations, which is points of presence. We have 1 regional cache for CloudFront. We also have 6 direct connect locations. All of this proves that we want to make sure that we have the geographic presence as India expands its internet users, both B2B side, B2C side, that we're available and we're expanding for all kinds of existing and potential use cases, that might come. The second is our commitment to local language. when we are adding more and more internet users in the country, language is becoming extremely important. To reach that next 100 million and the next 200 million, we will need to have support in local languages. So, for example, Poly, supports Hindi now since 2019. We also started building out a variety of skills on Alexa in Hindi. And this beautifully plays into some of our B2B use cases as well. And again, we work backwards from what customers wanted and started our support on both Poly and Alexa and Hindi. The third is investment in training. India is a really vast country, but we have taken an aggressive goal to train 1 million individuals in 2021. We are launching a plethora of programs for training in India, and some of those programs are also focused on getting women trained and getting women to code. So a variety of investments, and we are very confident of more than surpassing that 1 million individual training goal for 2021. And finally, just in terms of sheer investment, Jeff Bezos was in India in January 2020, and he made a commitment to invest $1 billion in India. And we also had, this year, Amit Agarwal launched a $250 million Sambhav Amazon venture fund to invest in startups and entrepreneurs focusing on technology innovations in the SMB space. And the final piece is by bringing them an array of digital suite products across AWS. And so, that's the kind of investments that we are making, like I said, in infrastructure, local support, training, and other investments.
I think you just not only covered Spider-Man, I think you've built in the whole Avengers there when it comes to your Indian customers. With that, thank you so much for that insights that you shared with us, Vaishali. Over to you, Shikha.
Well, sharing your experiences, your perspectives via the chat, that felt good. Thank you, Vaishali and Anirban, right there. And ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you are already experiencing the TechCon day at the DataCon virtual summit that is just holistically driving its way, right? Why do I say that? You have to stay right here as I would usher in our next set of feisty speakers. For now, you can just take a bit to quickly visit the Commvault booth at the Experience Zone. And also don't forget to fill in the feedback form at their booth as well. I'll just see you right in a bit.